just before we start the show, I want to take an opportunity to invite you to join me for the Podfluence Weekly newsletter, which is available both on LinkedIn and through the official newsletter channel. Now, if you are on LinkedIn and it's easier for you to follow there, then please just click on the link in the show notes, which will take you straight to Podfluence on LinkedIn, where you can subscribe for free and get weekly updates on Podfluence articles as well as episodes. If you would like to subscribe to the full newsletter where you'll get additional materials and, as my little incentive to you, my pre-podcast guest checklist for you to use when you're appearing on podcast shows so that you can be fully prepared every single time, then please click the link to the official newsletter in the show notes. Hope to see you there. Let's get on with the show. Welcome to the show. My name's Johnny Ball. This is the Christmas special edition of Speaking Influence. I am very happy to be delivering, as promised, my conversation with internationally renowned body language expert, Mark Bowden. Now, Speaking Influence is the show where we talk all about learning to build your influence and to be able to have ethical persuasion skills that you can apply in life and in business. And Mark is a true expert in this. That's why I've been so excited to speak with him, and I'm even more excited to bring that conversation to you. Speaking Influence is the show where we talk to body language experts, political speech writers, professional speakers, comedians, ex-cult members, Secret Service members, and more besides, to get deeper insights into the world of influence and persuasion, both the ethical and the unethical sides, so that we know what to do for ethical influence and persuasion, and we can also recognize and defend against unethical uses. This is one of those episodes where you might just want to have a pen and pencil handy and take some notes. Mark goes through some great information and delivers some incredible knowledge bombs. I hope you'll enjoy listening to this conversation as much as I enjoyed having it. So this is Johnny from Speaking Influence wishing you all a very happy Christmas. Now over to Santa.
Welcome to Speaking Influence, the show that helps you master the tools of ethical influence and persuasion with persuasive presentations and podcasting host, Johnny Ball.
If you're a coach, speaker, or course creator and would like to have a simple online ecosystem for your business where you can create funnels, build an integrated website, sell and host courses and live programs, build your list with lead magnets, manage your sales, create communities, and so much more in a way that is affordable and fully supported, you'll love New Zenler. You can try everything out for free, and if you love it, you can register for monthly or discounted annual billing. It's more cost-effective than nearly every other platform out there. Don't pay for a multitude of services you have to then link up manually. Get an online solution that does everything you need in one place. Find the link in the show notes and try New Zenler as the all-in-one solution for your business today.
Welcome to Speaking Influence. Now, I'm excited because we're going to talk about something that I haven't talked about before on the show, at least not in any detail, and not with anyone who has expertise in this. I have been looking forward to this conversation about body language with an internationally renowned body language expert. Welcome to the show, Mark Bowden.
Thanks, Johnny. Thanks for having me here. Really appreciate it.
I have been so excited about getting to speak to you because this is such an interesting area and a very important part of the influence and persuasion part of life and how we look and status. And I know that a lot of the people you work with are very highly influential people.
Yeah, well, they certainly have sometimes some status, and that does have its own aura around it that can cause people to join in. But even so, they're often lacking in some way a sense of some of the finer points of influence and persuasion, even with the status that they have. And they're trying to influence and persuade people sometimes of the same or even higher status than them. So everybody, luckily for me, needs some help.
Yeah, well, I certainly do. And I'm looking forward to getting some tips and pointers from you along the way. One thing that I'm asking my guests at the start of the show now is for somebody who stands out for you or has stood out for you in life as being maybe a particularly point of good influence, someone who's been good with influence and persuasion, somebody who stands out for you maybe as a role model in that kind of arena.
Yeah, so look, what I'm usually looking for in people who I'm really interested in this arena is something new, because there's lots of work out there around influence and persuasion. You only need to put it into Google and all the usual great books will come up. And so you'll be able to find those people very, very easily. Somebody who I have a great time with at the moment is my friend, colleague Chase Hughes from the Behavior Panel. Chase has written a brilliant book called The Ellipsis Manual, where inside that book, before I'd read that book, there were at least a couple of things that I'd never come across before in influence and persuasion, simply because he'd made them up, and they're really good. Okay, he'd come up with a new idea, okay, or more importantly, a new model, a new way of describing something in the world of influence and persuasion in a way that's really, really helpful, and a new technique as well that I'd not come across before. And I've seen most stuff. Yeah. So I'm always interested in what Chase has to say, and we have great conversations.
That's great. I'm going to have to check that out. And we're looking to get some new ideas on influence and persuasion. I appreciate that. Where did your journey into the world of body language and physical communication start?
Yeah, it started for me in the world of animal behavior, really, and natural history. I think maybe you're a little bit like me, Johnny. When we were kids, I reckon we probably watched a lot of natural history shows on TV.
A fair bit. Johnny Morris, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Johnny Morris, what a genius. And so, I was really excited by that world of natural history, of animals, of behavior, and also just moving images. And TV for me was full of wonderful lands and wonderful moving images and animals that I had seen and hadn't seen, and insights into their behavior. And so it really started with that. Obviously, it moved on to human beings in the end. And as I got a little bit older, I was interested in, well, why does that human being do that? Why did that one go over and do that? Why aren't those two getting on? How can I get that person to join in with me and work with me and help me and move things along in the direction that I think is important? So really, it came from natural history, a lot of the works of Darwin and evolution, and eventually I dropped into what we might call evolutionary behavioral psychology, which is, why we do what we do, because we are descendant from ground-dwelling mammals.
Yeah. Now, I kind of imagine, and this is where I sort of maybe want to fill in some gaps here of the educational journey. So we've got the psychology part of behavioral psychology, but we imagine that other than that, you now teach this stuff, that it's not very easy to find a school for body language. So was there an element that a lot of this you had to investigate and research yourself, or where did this all start to piece together for you?
Yeah, so a lot of it, you're right. There was, at the time when I was looking into this and enjoying, there was no school that I knew of around this, though I was being educated in other areas in a line of tradition, essentially. So I was studying fine art, performing art, and there is a long, long, long line of tradition of how do you influence and persuade large groups of people in a new idea and action them very quickly in the direction you want them to go. And that goes right back to the ancient Greeks. And it is written very clearly as to exactly what you do in order to motivate a populace. And the visual form around that rediscovered, almost, I'm going to say, well, reanimated, let's say, is the best way to call it. Research was done as to what in Greek theatre truly happened visually, along with the words, along with the logos, what actually happened alongside that could cause a populace to be moved in a certain direction. A lot of the work of a theatre practitioner called Jacques Copeau was around that. That got passed on eventually to Jacques Lecoq. I worked with Jacques Lecoq and many of the people around him. And so I was immersed in a tradition that went back literally thousands of years around that.
Yeah, that's amazing. So it's something like physical rhetoric, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. Physical rhetoric, absolutely. For us at the time, it was really about, it was about the idea of conspiracy. How do you get people to breathe with you and therefore to experience an emotion, the emotion you want them to feel. It's even more than empathy. It's that you are motivating them at a very fast rate towards exactly the feeling you want them to have at exactly the time you want them to have it, and being able to change those feelings very, very quickly. And so from the work that I was doing around that, people from politics and business, knowing what I'd managed to achieve in theatre and film and TV around that, were going, can you do that with our audiences in the realm of politics or business? And I said, yeah, I think I can. So I fell into influence and persuasion within politics and business from the world of theatre, film, TV, and art in general.
Yeah. This is definitely the bit that I most want to get into with you then, about understanding what influence and persuasion looks like in terms of body language and why that's important, how much people are communicating with posture and physicality, and what communicates influence and what communicates maybe the opposite of that, or the mistakes that people made. I'm going to try and put a lot of questions in together, but let's start with the beginning. Like, what does influence look like in terms of body language?
Yeah, look, let's pick some really simple stuff to describe this. Johnny, you and I'm guessing from your accent and the little conversation that we've had, you originally come from England somewhere.
I do.
Yeah. So we have some similarities there, but I'm pretty sure our parents weren't the same parents. Otherwise, I'd probably know you a bit better than I know you
we
already.
Might have met before, yes.
Yeah. So we have there's some elements of our DNA which are not going to be the same, but there's some elements which are ultimately super, super similar. And we've grown up in pretty much the same culture, though not the same microculture. So there's some similarities and some differences. There's a really strong similarity. I can't see the whole of your body right now, but I'm guessing roughly 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. I can see the head, can't see the legs and the arms. But I'm going to roughly guess.
Last time I counted, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's a strong similarity between you and me. So we don't know each other's background fully, but my instinct knows exactly what you're dealing with right now. And here's an element that I know that body, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head, is dealing with, just like I am right now. You're dealing with gravity, just like every other human being on the planet. Your body is designed around standing up against gravity, this constant fight around that force that, because of the mass making a curve in space and time, it draws you towards this bigger mass of the earth, which is making that curve in space and time. So you're battling against that. And I know that. And I can see at the moment what makes me feel very confident, great word, confident, confides, to have trust with you. What makes me have trust with you is I see you winning the battle against gravity right now. Okay? I notice that gravity so far has not got the better of you during our time together. And that's working on me all the time, unconsciously. Now, hopefully you're seeing that it hasn't got the better of me. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is allow that gravity to get the better of me. Okay? And all I've done is softened the muscles in my spine right now. So you'll be seeing a different image of me, Johnny. But everybody else who's listening to me right now, you'll have already noticed that this has fundamentally changed the rhythm of my speech, the tonality of my voice. Johnny, you'll be noticing that my eyes are cast, well, they're naturally kind of, I can't get the right word now. And the reason I can't get the right word is this is also compressing my lungs, which means the levels of oxygen available to my neocortex, which is running my language system, which the neocortex takes a huge amount of adenosine triphosphate, which needs the oxygen for it. Anyway, what you'll have already noticed is that you are way less engaged with me right now. Now, all I'm going to do is just, by my own will, strengthen the muscles in the back of my spine, and I want you to notice exactly what happens to me so quickly. How it's now I'm elevated. Now I'm what I would call in my language buoyant. Now I'm buoyant against gravity. Okay. My hands have become buoyant. There's a whole different set of signals coming towards you. And it's instantly working on my own endocrine system. The levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide are different. The vagus nerve is responding to that. It's sending a whole bunch of different neurotransmitters into my brain and around my brain around that. And all that was about was the fundamental fight against gravity that every human being on the planet is working with. Anyway, I hope that explains that, Johnny.
It does start to, there's something, I don't know where you stand on things like NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, but I can remember doing some trainings in that area. And one of the things that get taught about was physiology, and talked about it. I don't think they explained it quite as scientifically or as well as you did, but the difference that it really makes in terms of your own mood and energy is really what it was talked about, from being slouched over to being more upright, or being stood upright with shoulders back and chest out kind of thing. The energetic change that you feel there. And so from that sense, it's very much about what you do to yourself as much as what you're projecting out to other people.
Yeah, exactly. So I did a little bit of stuff in NLP back in the day, back in the, would have been late 80s, early 90s, somewhere around that, actually, with Richard Bandler. And I felt, brilliant though it is, it was all actually a little bit slow for me, in that it had come from a certain area of therapy, and therapy is utterly reliant on an hour a week for 5 years, and an organization of an industry that's kind of reliant on that. I was like, well, we could do all of this way, way quicker if you just understood a little bit better how this physiology really, really works. Because as you rightly say there, Johnny, it seems to change the energy of you. And I would go, oh no, I can be a little more definite than that. Like, I can absolutely record the levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide that are changing. I know what that does to the metabolism, and I know how quickly it can do that. I know what it does to the breathing rate, and I know what that rate, that rhythm, that cyclic cadence, I know what neurotransmitters that's going to trigger off. So I know how to change the brain, and that happens really quickly. Usually within about 3 breathing cycles, the change will have happened, which means you can change somebody's feelings. If you send a strong, clear signal, they will mirror you. It has to be strong and clear. Other human beings follow the strongest, clearest signal in the room, not the best signal, not the smartest signal, the strongest, clearest signal. That's what they're designed to do. If you can send a strong, clear signal, you can get people to change quite subtly sometimes their behavior in front of you, but that can change their psychology very, very quickly and in a super fundamental way. So that's what I concentrated on in terms of influence, is to go, or certainly persuasion, a little bit more than influence, simply because influence for me means to be in flow, to be in the river with. That's really about me mirroring them and copying them and going, hey, I'll join with you so you feel good about me. Then I'll do persuasion on the whole, get them comfortable, get them trusting. Again, can happen very, very quickly if you use the environment to do that, and then get them to mirror you, copy you really fast, really quickly in a very definite style, and then they'll change their feeling around you. Again, I hope that makes sense, Johnny, because I can rant on.
It absolutely makes sense to me, and I'm just wondering what kind of signs or signals there are in people's body language that express status beyond what you talked about.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, so let's look at status. As a guess, Johnny, somebody of high status, somebody with who let's just say that status is when you have control of resources that are seen by others as valuable. Yeah. That's to say, look, I can have high status, but walk into a certain land and they'll go, well, you're nothing, because I am not in control of the resources that are most valuable in that area. Okay. But let's just say, as a general rule, what in your mind are the universal elements of resource that most people would find valuable? What do you think?
Money would be one.
Right. Okay. Money. Yeah. So let's stick with that. So how do we know what's one of the universal signals that would suggest somebody has money?
They may be well known in business or media because of it.
right? So there's fame or renown, okay, but like that's super reliant. If I want to influence and persuade most people, that's kind of super reliant on understanding the media channels and who owns those, and so I need something, Johnny, that has been for thousands of years a universal indicator, easily seen, that somebody might have access to money, to wealth, to notes of exchange, because something is on their body that could
their
signal
clothing,
that. What do you think?
the way they dress.
The way they dress, yeah. Now dress changes over time, and so at one point it's like, I like your shiny leather shoes with your big fancy silver buckles on, but now it could be a pair of trainers that cost $3,000 or even more, and we might not all recognize that. Like, what has been recognizable for thousands and thousands and thousands of years? Any ideas?
I'm struggling with this one,
Yeah.
other than people's faces and haircuts.
Yeah.
And things
Well,
like
the
that.
thing is, it's so under the wire that we often don't recognize it, because I keep showing it to you, which is gold.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the moment you will, and I want you to walk out there in the world, okay? And I want you to notice what happens when you're with somebody, and for example, large amounts of gold are easily visible to you. They are displaying in a very visible way large portions of gold. And I want you to notice how you perform around them, okay? Because check if I'm true or not. Check how influential and persuasive that signal of having large amounts of gold adorning the body is with you. Yeah, that tomb of Tutankhamun, it's solid gold around it.
Yeah.
And you look at that and you go, well, that's a nobody. Or do you go, that had to be the most powerful person in the land at the time, even when dead, surrounded, their body encased in gold. Yeah, the closer you get to that, the more you'd look like, wow, there's somebody power. Yeah, so give me some feedback on that, Johnny. How true does that feel to you?
Oh, I can definitely see that, and where that fits in as an element of status. And I think we definitely see it. If you see somebody, like, more likely a woman, but somebody who's dripping in diamonds, for example, you would automatically associate that kind of status as well. But I guess the gold is a far more common one for us to see. But yeah, I certainly see that in business environments, and it's so subtle. You say, you may not even notice it. It's just
No.
but you may clock it, but just not consciously have awareness of it.
Yeah, so some of it is so subtle you're not gonna clock it. And for people like me that can instruct people how to use it, it will be totally under the wire. Yeah, only your unconscious mind will pick it up. Let me give you another one. Again, a universal indicator of somebody has power. They own space. Yeah, they own land. They take up space. Now, that's not to say they take up your space. That is territorially aggressive. Okay, but they take up space. So you'll notice when I gesture that I own all the space around me. Okay, you'll notice when I gesture with my hands, often my hands will take all the space they can. They will stretch out their fingers, in order to take that space. So you can see that I don't fear. There is no stress around me having all the space that is mine. If I were with you at a table and we were having a meeting and I wanted to help you understand how much territory, that I feel comfortable having, I would make sure, just as I have in the image here in front of you, that I place my water, my resource, my drinking resource, a full arm span away from me, so that every time I go for that, the joints on my arm lock out. So number one, you start to see how big I am. Yeah. Bigger generally says more status. Yeah. And that I'm purposely causing myself to lock out my arm as I go and get my resource, again, shows that I'm not afraid to take that space which is mine. Now, that's very different. As I show you that image, Johnny, that's very different from somebody who's going to keep their resource close to them. Yeah, keep their resource very, very close. So I'm just, holding my mug very close to my lips. This now looks like somebody who is worried that this would be taken away from them. Yeah. So I don't look like a confident owner of the valuable resource of the water that I have, the coffee that I have, and the space that I have around me. And notice as I've done that, I'm also losing the fight against gravity as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm definitely going to keep that in mind next time I go to a networking meeting, I think. So it's a good one. A lot of the people who are in the audience for this show are people who will regularly be giving presentations, either as public speakers or in environments in front of the board or things like that. What, in your opinion, some of the body language skills that they could use to increase their authority and persuasion from a platform?
Yeah, I'll give you a really simple one, and which is the best one that I have, which is open palm gestures at exactly navel height. So simple as that. If you are live in a room with somebody, first of all, you want to show more of yourself than less of yourself. If there is a lectern there, do not stand behind it, unless it has a seal of office on it, which has more power. So if I'm in a room and there is the American seal of the president's office on the lectern, I am standing behind it. Okay. I'm going to take that seal of office. Okay. And I'm going to use that imagery, that icon, in order to imbue me and infuse me with, again, centuries of power and centuries of influence. If not, if it says, Marriott Hotel on it, I don't care. That's of no use to me whatsoever. I will move away from that lectern. Nothing wrong with the Marriott Hotel. Very well. By the way, you always look after me very, very well, but you're not as powerful as the president's office. Okay. So I'll move away from that lectern and I'll show more, because when insufficient data, you default to negatives. When more sufficient data, you're more likely to have a positive view of me. Even if you're seeing more negative signals from me, the fact that you can see more negative signals, the fact that you can see more, is of more advantage to you in the life and death situation that living on the earth is. So I'll move away from that, and I will do open palm gestures at exactly navel height, which show you, number one, no tools, no weapons, nothing in my hands, nothing to harm you. Okay, so it causes you to trust me. It also brings a sense of me being calm and assertive, because I don't need tools or weapons. I don't need anything in my hands right now. Okay, I will bring my arms away from the sides of my body, so I'm not protecting those delicate organs, and I'll display the center of gravity and the delicate organs that are in that belly area. I will open up that area to show you that I don't fear any attack. There's no predators in the room, and I'm not a predator. Because if there were predators in a room and I was the predator, that center of gravity would crunch in order to protect those delicate organs. So remember what I said right at the start of this. We are descendant from ground-dwelling mammals. And as we stood upright on the plains of Africa millennia ago, in order to be able to run and to duck and weave and be able to hunt of our own accord for meat, rather than having to just deal with the bones that are being left around by other predators. As we started to be more active, okay, what we did is we gave up that protection of the ground of our bellies and opened up that area. We didn't grow and evolve ribs all the way down, because we wouldn't have been able to run for a long distance like we're able to run. So there's pluses and minuses to all of this. And so when we're confident, we will display that belly air, not overtly, but more than we would if we were unconfident, where we'll do a lot more covering up of that area, or we'll be concave in the abdomen. Anyway, that makes sense, John.
No, it's interesting that we still have, it's like conditioning from ancestry, really.
Well, we still hold the
somewhat
same
genetic.
DNA.
Yeah.
We still hold the same brainstem, some of the same limbic system, social mammalian brain, about 5.5 million years, and we've still got a 500 million year old brainstem. It's not really changed in its architecture for literally millions of years. And it's a good job it hasn't, because we'd be dead if it had. Or we'd have
Yes,
evolved
it's kept
something
us alive, right?
that was useless. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious as to as somebody who has studied this for a long time, I wonder how much can you tell about somebody from their body language, and how accurate is body language as a form of reading what's going on with people?
Yeah. So look, because I've been hanging around this area and obsessed with it, I probably have more vocabulary than most people on the planet as to what the body can do and the nuances of that. Okay. So number one, let's just say I know more words than than the average person. And so you'll understand words are power, like vocabulary is power,
Yeah.
because you can differentiate in a sharper way, and that can mean more accuracy. Yeah, if we think of a target made up of, you can see the target is split into 3 areas. I'm going, gosh, I can see the 30 areas that it's. So when you say hit it in the center, I'm going, oh, I can really see the center of this. Whereas other people might be going, yeah, it's that large blob about a foot wide that's the center of that target. It's saying, I've split the center into many different areas. And actually the center of this target isn't what you think the center is. So there can be that as well. And there's no, look, and you're not obsessed with it like I am. So why would you know what I know? So look, I got more vocabulary. That's interesting. That's not the main thing. I'm using critical thinking. So you, on the whole, and you're right to use it, you're using your instinct around this, and you're calling your instinct right because it feels right. You're going, well, I'm just really intuitive about this. Yes, you are. Good, you are. That's why you're alive. But it doesn't mean you're making the right calls on people. You're making the safe calls on people. Your instinct is in it for you, and it's in it for your safety now. Okay. It wants to be safe today, accurate tomorrow. Okay. So your instinct, it has no bearing on accuracy. It doesn't care about accuracy. It would rather be wrong and safe. Okay. Because that's it's good. What I'm doing, so long as I'm in a place where I have a lot of resource and I already know I'm safe, I'm not using my instinct anymore. I mean, it's not that I've cut it off. I can't. You'd have to inject some chemicals into me or use a scalpel to cut off my instinct. I'm taking my instinct and I'm going, great, that's my instinct. And I'm taking that judgment and I'm not literally, I'm in my mind, literally, like I see myself going, okay, take that, put it on a shelf. And I take that and I put it on a shelf. Now that means it's still mine. My instinct is still mine. It isn't wrong. It's just on the shelf right now. And that opens up my mind to go through a critical thinking process, which means I am so much more likely to be more accurate than most other people on the planet. Your instinct could get exactly the same answer as me. Okay. So that's okay. But I'm going to gamble on the whole across its lifespan. It doesn't. My critical thinking is more accurate than your instinct for more of my lifetime. Now, by the way, I only do this when people pay me, okay? Because it's a very tricky thing to do, okay? And it's a job. It's not fun. It's not a sport. So when people go, well, do you turn up to parties and you're critically thinking people's behavior? It's like, no, that's an annoying person to be around. Why would you ever do that? Yeah. No, I'm just there with my instinct again. Now, if I feel that it would be useful and helpful to suspend those judgments for any reason, because I can see an advantage in that, yes, I would start to do it then. And then somebody might go to me, so what did you think of that person and that part? And I'll be able to go, oh, yeah, I did a quick analysis of them. Here's what I think. And then they might go, wow, I didn't see any of that. I didn't see any of that going on. It's like, why would you? Why would you? Anyway, again, hope that makes sense, Johnny.
It does, yeah. It's kind of like a therapist going to a party, right? You can't necessarily switch off the therapist inside you, and you get those triggers and feelings about people from things to say, but you're not necessarily going to say anything about it. You're going to like, let's put that over there and enjoy the party. But if someone asked you afterwards, yeah, you might say, yeah, well, I observed this or I heard this, and to me that means this, that, the other.
Yeah, it's not the contract to show up to social events doing your job. You know, if I work in garbage disposal, do I show up at everybody's party and empty their bins? It's like,
well, you get invited to more parties,
you
maybe.
might do, but they might. For a lot of people, it'd be like, "Come on, relax, man. You know, relax."
Busman's holiday, yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's like relax. So I'm the same. Unless I see something that could really be helped by what I do, and then I might, but I'm still not likely to. There's a lot involved with it, and it would require me asking questions of people covertly that it might feel odd to them. I'm pretty good at it, that it wouldn't feel odd. But after a while, they might go, why do you keep asking me these kind of questions? This is a bit odd. And I'd be the odd guy. I already maybe don't fit in quite entirely. So why make it worse?
Fitting is overrated, in my opinion. But yeah, so I definitely get that from that perspective. And part of the ethos of this show is my goal is to help people who have good, positive, powerful, life-changing messages, get that out into the world and have influence and be able to persuade people in good and positive ways. But of course, these are tools. I mean, what we share is tools and just ways of doing things. So when you know how it's done and you're not just doing things unconsciously or from instinct, as you say, that it becomes more intentional, and tools can be used for good or bad. But in general, most people don't have that kind of level of awareness. And I know that you have some stuff about this, I guess probably in your recent book, but how good is body language in able to tell us the veracity of people and what's going on there? What can we read or generally get from people in terms of whether they're on the level?
Yeah, okay. So you're looking like, can I tell if somebody's lying or is being deceitful? Which is one of the biggest questions in body language, because wouldn't that be wonderful if you know, yeah. So it's such a wonderful idea that there's a fairy tale written about that called Pinocchio. Yeah, it is such a wonderful, beautiful idea, full of such power, that there's a fairy tale written about it. And don't you think you'd know how to do it already if it were available? Don't you think if that were possible, if you could tell that somebody's definitely lying from their nonverbal communication, all human beings would be able to do it. Our brain is not a knowledge machine, it's a prediction machine, okay? It's just sometimes it predicts so accurately so often that we think it's knowledge, but it isn't. It's just algorithms that predict. So can you be better at predicting? Yes, you can. Can you read somebody's mind? No, there's people out there on the planet that will try and convince you that they can, but you're at a point in your life when you would, again, love that fairy tale so much that you will buy into it. So usually here's what I usually ask people if they go, hey, can you tell if people are lying? I usually say to them, who are you most worried about right now? Yeah. Give me, what's their name? Yeah. What is their name? Okay. Because you don't care mainly if people are lying or not they are, you are. Like, it's part of one of the our most important social skills is being able to lie and join in with a lie. Otherwise, how would we get on with anybody? Yeah. How would anything work if that weren't the case? So, you have to be able to accept lies and deliver them really well, okay, in order for things to function. So now we've got to know, who is the person in your life or group in your life that you fear so much that you want to break that social contract of accepting lies? Yeah, that you want to not do that. Well, that becomes interesting. And at that point, somebody like me will go, so, okay, I get the name of the person. What's it actually worth to you? Put a figure on it. And let's see whether you can afford hiring somebody to come in and get closer to the truth around this, because there's a process involved in that. And if it's not that valuable to you, forget it. Like, carry on. The other thing, people often say to me, oh, must be terrible being one of your kids, because you must know when they're lying. And it's like, even if I did or I didn't, why would I strip them of that basic fundamental thing of being able to get one past? Yeah. Why strip them of that? Like, what kind of father do you think I am? I want to, rid them of being a human being. Anyway,
is there not potentially an element where even if you did, that they would start to figure out the ways to disguise that and to... No?
Nobody's that good at lying. Nobody's that good. It's like, it doesn't, like, not if you look, like all things, it depends how good the person is on the other side of that. Like, it just, like, it's, if you want to go into battle on that, but I maybe have spent more time looking at this than you've spent trying to produce this. Okay. So, and I've seen you coming. So, and my radar is on. So look, I'm not saying it's impossible, but anyway, why would I want to give you that, rid you of that fundamental, amazing feeling of going, I got away with that.
Well, yeah. So I think we tend to underestimate how much lying is a part of the social fabric, and without it, it would be like removing all the grease from the cogs and wheels. And the machinery would fall apart pretty quickly.
Well, it gets a bad rap, doesn't it? Lying. It's like, it gets a really bad rap. It's just like, it's been turned into just morally a bad thing. St. Augustine wrote a number of treatises on lying, and which ones were okay lies and which ones were bad lies. Say you're sheltering somebody from somebody who's violent, and they come round to your home and go, hey, is so-and-so here? Yeah. Are you gonna lie or not?
Yeah, I'm going to lie, yeah.
Of course you are. Of course you are. You're going to be a good liar?
Hopefully.
Yeah, you're going to do your best, aren't you? You're going to do your best. So hang on. So I'm unsure. I thought lying was bad.
Yeah, I don't think it is bad.
Yeah, right, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, don't, lying is sometimes, but not all of the time, bad, depending on the situation and where you stand within that.
Yeah, definitely a situation-specific kind of thing. Are there some elements or characteristics in body language, particularly, that do tend to indicate someone is fairly truthful, or at least give that impression?
Yeah, sure. I can give you that impression. Yeah, yes. Open palm gestures at exactly navel height is the biggest indicator across the planet that most people are going to go, yeah, simply because it alters so much of the body. It's such a big, and done consistently, clearly and consistently, it's such a big signal that it changes your voice, it changes blink rates, it changes the way that your cadence, the rhythm of your speech and the tonality of it will perform. So it has a very strong overall effect, and it's a big enough, strong enough image that the perceiver will mirror it internally and go, if I was like that, I would be being pretty honest, because look, no predators in the room. They're not a predator. They're calm and assertive, trustworthy. Yeah. So if I were going to gamble, I would gamble on that more than anything else on the planet. And in terms of the reversal of that, what are the biggest indicators of somebody being deceitful? We know there is no one indicator of that. All I'm doing with open palm gestures at navel height is I'm causing very, very quickly a cluster of signals to happen. And many of them, and what I would call in behavior a cascade effect. I'm doing just one thing with my unconsciously with my behavior, which is moving my elbows into around a 45-degree angle, opening my palms. Yeah. And just by doing that, cascade effect very, very quickly, which means that the observers get a kind of a cluster bomb of signals, which is very hard for them to think their way out of.
Right. A lot of us are only being seen in these sort of little square boxes like we're in right now on video. Open palm gestures at waist height might not be so visible. But so is there anything that maybe fits more for the Zoom lifestyle that could be beneficial for people?
Yeah, absolutely. So camera changes things. slightly in that my focus has now gone to something else, which is to engage you with a moving image. Okay. And engage you where I'm large in the frame so that I keep reminding your instinct that I am live and present right now. So yeah, what you'll notice is my hands come high up into passion. Yeah. Which is raising my heart rate and breathing rate, and will be raising yours as well. Just look what happens if I hang my hands down by my side and I'm just a talking head with you right now. And I'm not a strongly animated, moving image. It's the same person, written the same 4 books, same expertise. Are you as engaged with me? Do you want to stay with me for so long? Okay. The moment my hands come up and they start to be animated, this is literally as my fingers move, your neocortex gets some sparks in it, because it knows when fingers move like this, that takes the motor cortex, and you start mirroring that. Okay. So I'm not so focused on trust and credibility on the camera. I'm focused on life, on getting you engaged with this. Make sense?
Yeah. Definitely going to start doing more of that.
Good.
Thank you. So I know we don't have a lot of time left, but there are still a few things I want to ask you. And one question that I really do want to ask you, and maybe you already shared it, but what is your number one influence and persuasion tool that you always go to?
Oh, really nice. Well, I'd start with the influence piece, because I can't do persuasion really with the people that really matter, which is the people that are not doing what I want them to do or my client wants them to do. Your chance of getting to that, unless you do the influence part first, is about null and void, because you can't do the persuasion, which is the move hard, unless you're on the same journey as them. So actually, it's somewhat of a verbal thing more than anything else, I would say. And that's to ask them where they are. Now, that's an interesting question, because it can be metaphorical or psychological, or actually where they are on the planet. But I'm looking to align with their current location. Now, often if I am on the same spot on the planet as them, it's easier to align with their current location. I will literally stand next to them and look in the same direction as them. And to the extent that it is use, adopt some of their behaviors, some but not all, only the ones that are useful to moving them forward, only the ones that I feel are already enough going in the right direction for where I want to take them. I'll start to adopt those behaviors. So this NLP idea of pacing and leading, I don't do that. I would only mirror the behaviors that are already going down the right route, because I want to lead them rather than spiral with them into the oblivion of whatever abyss that they might be in right now.
But still establishing rapport.
To an extent, but sometimes no, I wouldn't. For sometimes I might go straight for, look, adopt this behavior. It's better for you. It's more exciting. It's more. So sometimes I will be super kind of pro-social and do very pro-social body language and see how quickly they'll join in with me. Because ultimately I'm going, look, this is more fun, isn't it? And quickly they'll join in because they just go, it's better. It's more exciting. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, yes, what I'm trying to do, first of all, is do the influence piece, which is to see it from their direction. And I might even ask them, so tell me where you are right now. And they might go, well, what do you mean with X or Y? And I go, yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I don't care what they say. I just want them to give me a clear linguistic location, because once they do that, I'll go, yeah, exactly. And I'll just join in on that and help describe it with them.
That's cool. It's cool. So I know we have to start wrapping things up, but you have several great books. And can you tell us very briefly about your most recent book?
Yeah. Most recent book, Truth and Lies, What People Are Really Thinking, written by myself and co-author Tracy Thompson. I would suggest this book is a book on critical thinking disguised as a book on body language. Because the books on body language, there's some really good ones out there, but they're never as useful as people might hope. And so this has all the really good stuff that you'd really love to hear on body language, human behavior. But at its core is a way of thinking more clearly and more accurately about human beings. And that's really, for me, the real power is critical thinking rather than intuitive or instinctual thinking. That's really good, does save your life, and you can't stop it, so it's okay. But for somebody that will be working in influence and persuasion or body language behavior at my level, you need something else, which is critical thinking.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of critical thinking, and that's certainly right up my street. You mentioned one of the book earlier, but I wonder if I could ask you, other than your own books, are there any other books that you would recommend that people should check out, either in this topic or just something everyone should read?
Yeah, if you're thinking about influence and persuasion, I said it before at the start, but Chase's book, The Ellipsis Manual, I would go towards, what he's done, which is brilliant, which is he'll stop you having to trawl through a lot of some of you may have read through some of those very, very thick books on influence and persuasion, especially if you've delved into NLP. You might have, like me, if you've hacked through the works of Milton Erickson.
Some of them, yes.
Yeah, it's a stack of paper. Yeah, it means you may not have to do that unless you want to dive deep. Like he's already gone into that and pulled out what is most essential within a lot of that work.
Oh, well, there's definitely going in the show notes as well as some links to your books. What's the best place for people to come and find out more about you?
Yeah, truthplane.com, TRUTHPLANE, truthplane.com, or Google Mark Bowden, Mark with a K, Bowden, and you'll find me.
We'll have those links in there as well. As we wrap things up then, Mark, what's the one thing you hope people will most take away or even implement from this conversation today?
Yeah, really good question. Understanding that for me, it really is about thinking more accurately about people in terms of influence and persuasion, not the power that you might be able to gain over them or around them, but how you might better understand them. Great, lovely guy, Joe Navarro, one of the true kings of behavior and body language. I was with him a couple of years ago at an event. And we were chatting about something and observing people and talking about what we do. And he turned to me and he said, it's really only about getting on better with people, isn't it? I was going, yeah, it really is. That's all it's about. It's just like, how can you get on better with people? And we were there with the people in the security services and all of that stuff, save lives and stop billions of dollars getting siphoned into awful places. And really we're just going, it's just about being able to get on better with people.
Yeah, I think what everybody's saying is the first book I ever read about body language and stuff. It is definitely worth checking out Joe Navarro's stuff.
Yeah.
Mark, it's been a real pleasure speaking to you. It's been such an interesting conversation. Thank you so much for your time, your information, and sharing so much great stuff with us. Really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime, Johnny.
Thanks for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed the show. And if you did, make sure you subscribe for future episodes. I have some great episodes coming up for the end of the year. And of course, we'll have a special New Year episode for you too. In January, you'll be hearing a lot more information about our new sponsorship arrangement with Brandface. And I'll be introducing you to the people behind that incredible company and telling you more about that. As we come to the close of 2021, it has been a spectacular year for Speaking Influence, and I think we're in a very good place to be looking forward to an even more spectacular 2022. I hope the same for you and for all of your loved ones too. Have a very happy Christmas and a spectacular new year. Let's make 2022 the best year yet.